Hello and welcome to the Reetin Entertainment Podcast, episode 400. Jesus. For May 21st, 2023, my name is Nathan Reetin Spruth. Joining me this week, we have Andrew Rowe McFain.
Hello.
And we're also joined by Connor, the cyberpunk monk Besh.
We've been doing this for far too long.
Yes, we
Oh,
have.
shit.
Nick Lotus was also going to be here, but they weren't able to join.
Chickened out.
She looked at how many stories we had and was like, nope. Of course, I'm your host, Nathan Reetin Spruth. Let's think. First things first, Aroa, where can we find you and Connor?
Hopefully at a road website. Hopefully that still works.
I don't like how you said hopefully.
I didn't change anything, but
Things happen. I get it.
That's true. And we're also, of course, curious. What do you want to bring attention to, Connor?
Oh, that would be that I work on a first edition Pathfinder actual play podcast where we play through Rise of the Runelords. And we're on book 6 at this point. And I've been re-editing the first season, which has been just awful to listen to. I'm so sorry if anyone listened to our first season before. And I worked really hard on it. It's called Clinton's Core Classics, Rise of the Runelords. You can find it anywhere that fine podcasts are found.
Hey, it's okay. We're getting better, theoretically.
It worked great at this point. Like, the season, honestly, I would say halfway through season 2 to season 3, we're fine. We're like a listenable show.
Yes, and then, of course, as anything goes on, like, listen to the first episodes of the Reetin podcast, how many technical difficulties we had, or how many bad jokes we made, or anything like that. Just, we've gotten better over time. Same thing with Clinton's Core Classics. So, and by the time we finish, I think we're good, and our next show that we do, I think, is going to be pretty good.
I think it's going to be pretty spectacular.
Yes.
I'm excited for it.
And, of course, I'm Nathan Reetin Spruth. You can find me everywhere at Reetin. The big one is Twitch. I'm there Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time to 9 p.m. Pacific time, playing video games. Lots of video games. I play not as many games as Parallax Abstraction. I think he's already beat like 20 games this year. Anyway, my question for you is, what games have you played, Connor?
I played a little bit of Space Station 13. That goes without saying. I played some Shenmue 2. I am the next time I boot up this game, I'm going to talk to someone, and I'm leaving Hong Kong. So I'm like halfway done. That's a pretty pivotal point.
Yes, it is. Is that the end of the game, or
no? The rest of the game takes place in Kowloon.
Okay.
And that's I've actually never been this far in Shenmue 2. When I was just a wee cyberpunk, I never quite got that far in the game. So I'm excited. This is going to be going into it fresh. And I was like just getting enough of Hong Kong memorized where I didn't need the maps anymore too.
Dang it. Now you have to rely on the maps again.
There is a funny little, and it's just a short story. I've recently got into duck racing in that game, which I guess a lot of people say is like the best way to make money in it. So I was feeling pretty good. I had like a lot of spending money in my pocket. I made a whole like $500 in Hong Kong money. And then I was like, okay, tonight I will progress in the story before bed. And I walked up to someone and was like, all right, you want to talk to our boss? That's fine, but it'll cost you $500. And my character's like, okay, that's fine. And they're like, no, I just got that. Not fine. But it did not give me the option to say no, which I needed that money anyways to progress, but easy come, easy go, right?
I guess. Yes, I remember playing Shenmue 3. Again, I played Shenmue 2 20 years ago or something. So, Shenmue...
The appropriate time ago to play it?
Yes. Shenmue 3, when I played that more recently, the best way to make money was to also gamble. Apparently, just the best way to make money in life is to gamble. That's what I've learned from Shenmue.
Yeah, look at the stock market, bro.
That's true. That's what people do. And then when they lose all their money in the stock market, they just ask the government for more money, right? That's what happens.
No, they revert to an older save. Duh.
I wish I could do that.
If Shenmue 2 takes place, or at least partially takes place in Kowloon, when does Shenmue 2 take place? Like what year?
1985.
So Kowloon Walled City still exists.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Like the
are they
Shenmue 2
gonna?
did something cool where like the weather patterns every day were actually what they were. Like they did their homework on this game.
That's nuts. So, but like, I wonder if you're gonna have if like, are they gonna make you go to Kowloon Walled City? Because that'd be fucking
Uh-huh.
wild.
I'm
Oh,
looking
that's
for
cool.
a martial arts master who's in hiding in isolation
That's
in one of the
nuts.
most dangerous places in the world.
Yes,
But like I'm a
it's
big
awesome.
fan of the Midgar slums-esque like architecture. That's my jam. So I am looking forward to this.
I hope you enjoy it and have more memories of it than I do after 20 years. Just because I don't remember very much about that game, even though I beat it. Anywho, Aroa, what games have you played this week?
Pretty much nothing but Zelda.
Oh,
Zelda?
right.
I was
Yeah.
gonna ask how one obtains their legal dump of a legal cartridge for that eventually, but we'll talk about that later.
I mean, I've got my sources, and but
They've come
yeah.
out. I
I
know
mean,
they've come out with like a proper 60 FPS patch now.
yes and no. At least the last that I had looked. I haven't looked in a couple weeks, I'll admit.
It,
Um,
I do know that the performance increases are what's single-handedly causing me go from Ryujin Inks to Yuzu, because
yeah,
I guess it's like a day and night difference.
it very much so.
And
Now that it actually works in Yuzu at all, it works much better.
I think that's probably going to be the way that I enjoy this particular installation of the Zelda titles.
I was
I
actually
would I would recommend it. Yeah.
I was actually reading through some stuff about Yuzu and Ryujinx, and part of the reason, like, you had got you were able to buy your copy a couple weeks early somehow.
Hmm.
Your
Hmm.
GameStop had it, and
It's weird that the clerk had a pirate hat on.
yeah, it's weird. And anyway, Yuzu and Ryujinx, the creators, were like, we don't optimize our engines or our emulators until the game is actually released.
Yeah.
So that could be part of why you were having some performance issues. Is
Oh,
they
absolutely. Yeah.
didn't push out a patch for it until after the game
Yeah.
was actually released.
Uh, at least it. I didn't really read much about Ryujinx, really commenting on it at all, but the Yuzu devs specifically, because I think their emulator was packaged with a release of the game online. Uh, they like made a very public statement that was like, "Look, I don't do that for one, but also like we don't condone this. We're not releasing any updates for Yuzu that have anything to do with the game until after it actually comes out because fuck you. Like stop it. Stop doing this. Stop making emulation look like piracy land
Yeah,
because even though on a current console it is, let's face it, like that's the only reason that emulation for current gen consoles exists. But uh yeah, don't make them a target because Nintendo will fucking wreck them. They will just
yeah,
make up whatever they need to.
exactly. Like they'll figure out a way to do it. But so Yuzu has to be as much just saying no, we can't have you do this. We don't want
Yeah,
to support
they
piracy.
right.
So
And but yeah,
uh
it like I'm actually having problems right now because the fan on my actual Switch is dying.
oh no.
So um yeah, it just starts making a really awful grinding sound every once in a while, and I've been able to hit it to make it stop, but it's starting to need to be hit more.
Uh
Um
why don't you just replace the fan?
because it's a big pain in the ass, but I did buy a fan earlier today. So hopefully it'll be here sometime this week and then I'll do it.
Good.
But
Bro was like, I
yeah.
was gonna go to Micro Center, but the wife needed the car, so then I hit it a little bit, and now it's not working.
So,
It
well, that's good.
but
Zelda's good game
I'm
though, right?
God, it's so
I
good.
hear it's like phenomenally good.
It is really I was thinking about it a couple days ago and it's like it's very much Ocarina of Time versus Majora's Mask, where like Majora's Mask was something that they put out relatively soon
A
after the
year.
first game. Yeah, like, and in doing that, they reused a lot of assets from the first game, which is fine, because that let them focus on making a better game, and that seems to be very similar in the case of Breath of the Wild versus Tears of the Kingdom, where
I,
they were able to, and they didn't rush it like they did with Majora's Mask, but Tears of the Kingdom is just like they took everything that worked well in Breath of the Wild and refined the fuck out of that, and then just added more amazing shit on top of it, and like just took everything that they learned from the development of the first game and put that towards the second game. There's so much. It's fucking just an absolute just fucking masterpiece. It's a fucking
So
masterpiece.
with what little I've seen, I was initially worried because all the content creator, again, which it's not a big number, but all the content creators that I do watch who were playing the game were like, haha, I'm going to strap 10 rockets on this, ha ha ha. And I was really worried that that seemed like it was becoming a universal solvent. Luckily, when you actually sit down and like think about the puzzles, it's like in the first one, there's many ways to solve whatever particular issue you're looking at.
Yeah.
But
Uh
boy, does it reward creativity in a weird way. Or,
it
just drawing giant robots with big old flaming boners.
it's amazing that this is a Zelda game where one of the solutions to a puzzle was to create a baseball machine.
that's cool. Well, they do love baseball in Japan.
They do. Like, it's so weird that Zelda went from being like high fantasy with like every once in a while there's like something that shoots lasers to being like essentially where World of Warcraft is, where like it's sci-fi fantasy, where like there's just as much fucking sci-fi wacky robot shit going on as there is high fantasy magic shit.
I
Like
am
it's really weird,
I
but
am
all,
really
just all good.
I am really excited to play uh Legend of Zelda Nuts and Bolts. It's
Ah,
going to be fun. Really like it.
That's
Anyway,
a joke.
it's a joke. We're gonna move on, and we're gonna talk about me for a second. The games I played. Played some more Redfall. I think we're in the. There's only like 2 areas, I think, in the game, and we're in the
I think you're
second
the only
area.
person still playing that game.
There's like
I am.
400 people on Steam, I think,
Yeah,
which is
and
not a lot. I know a lot of people are probably
People
playing on Game Pass,
bought
but
it?
like,
yeah, people bought the game. People don't want game. It's like with Epic. People don't want Epic, so they wait for a Steam release or they'll buy it on Steam. Um, and people don't want Game Pass. They don't want to have another thing that they're giving money to, so they just buy
So they
games
give
on Steam.
$70 to a game that isn't worth $10.
It's exactly. It's okay. Like I'm having fun, but again, I'm having fun because I'm playing with Durga and Sarah. So if I were just playing the game by myself, I don't think I would be having as much enjoyment out of it. And we're finally to a part where, and this might change. We might just find new weapons and be more powerful. But we're finally to a part in the game where the enemies actually pose a threat to us, because for the first like half of the game, you're going through and just dominating all of the enemies you run across. And now we're to a point where we actually have to like watch our health meters and stuff, which is nice to actually have a little bit of difficulty in the game. But we'll probably beat it either. I mean, if we played on Monday, this week, we might beat it this Monday or possibly the next week. And then Wednesday and Thursday, because I had to go do something on Tuesday. Wednesday and Thursday, I played Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and that game still doesn't run great, but the patches that they've released have made it run a lot better. I still think it has some caching issues with the shaders, where you'll go into a newish area and it'll start like stuttering because it's loading up the shaders, which it really should just do that automatically. Even even emulators have the ability to just be like pre-cache the shaders, and then you're good to go. But they don't do that, so you have to wait, and it stutters, and it's annoying. But that being said, the game is really fun. I just got a dash ability, so I can dash in midair. It's pretty great. There's
I do have
also
an honorable mention before you proceed. Sorry, I
what's
thought
that?
you were done talking about Star Wars. All of Mortal Kombat 11 and Injustice 2, like all of both of those games, are $10 right now on Steam.
Nice.
That's
And
a pretty good deal, actually.
I know they're coming out with another Mortal Kombat game, right?
Mortal
Yes.
Kombat 1.
Oh, right. Yes, we're not. That's a story we're not talking about because we have way too many stories already. And then I was gonna say Star Wars. There's a giant frog that you can go fight, and I was playing it, and somebody came into my stream, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is the hardest boss in the game."
Yeah, and it's like a throwback to the first game
Yeah, it's such a
where he was the hardest boss in that game too.
yeah. I hate it, so I have to try to beat it, but it's a mini boss, so it doesn't really matter. Like you can beat the game without fighting this guy. Anywho, we're gonna move on to the last game I played, which was Software Inc. I grew my business a little bit, made a few $1 million, made an operating system, had an employee that wouldn't stop complaining, so I fired them. They're like, it's too noisy. Like, because on the top left, you get like, oh, your employees are complaining about this, or, this person went on vacation. And this person just kept complaining that it was too noisy in the office. And so, like, every day they would come in and just be like, it's too noisy. I'm too stressed because you have me in crunch mode. Blah, blah, blah. And so I fired her ass, which was great. It felt good. Now I'm turning into Jeff Bezos. That's what I'm doing. She's like, I want to start a union. I'm like, nope, can't have that. So anyway, games fun, I think, and I've read some reviews on it and some people, chatting in Reddits and stuff saying that the game is very complicated. It has very complicated systems, but it's actually incredibly easy to make money. And that's what I found, is that it just seems like after I release a product, it doesn't really matter how well it scores or anything. I've just made like $5 million in like 2 days. It was great. Wish it was that easy in real life. Anywho, we're going to move on to some news stories. This is an update to a story that we spoke about not too long ago. Do you guys remember talking about the UK, not part of the EU anymore, the UK denying the merger between Microsoft and Activision?
Yep. I thought it was kind of weird that they had a say, but I mean, I get it. It's a global market.
Well, they have
I also felt that was odd.
They have a say in their like the UK, so they wouldn't be able to merge in the UK because they have to register the businesses. It's complicated, but yes, basically each country or major area has their own say in how it's run in that particular country. We'll talk about that later too, with
So
another one of our
close
stories.
Activision UK.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, and I don't think that's going to happen. What I think is going to happen is, especially with news we have right now, where the European Union, not the UK, has approved the merger between Activision Blizzard. And if the United States hasn't weighed in on this yet, have they? I don't think it's been approved in the USA.
Yeah, I believe they've put off everything for right now.
Okay.
They're probably more concerned with
other
the
things.
country running out of money.
Oh God. We're not going to talk about that because it's the dumbest shit. So, the UK Activision, the European Union Activision Blizzard merger has been approved. If the United States comes and says, hey, we are also going to approve this merger, I'm thinking the UK is just going to cave.
And if
That's
they
my
don't,
thought.
then Activision's business operations in the UK just goes away.
Yeah, that would be it would be really dumb if at that point they don't do it, because then Activision and Microsoft have the leverage to just say, okay, well then you guys don't get Call of Duty,
Yeah.
and
I mean, they're not like
they'll prove it.
Ubisoft where they have a studio in like every. I'm trying to think of like what a good example is for Europe. Doesn't every like different country out there have a different Ubisoft
There's
studio?
They have several in
yeah.
various countries. Like
Uh,
there's Ubisoft Montreal, and Ubisoft I think is actually based in France.
that sounds right. I guess what I'm ultimately getting at is, does Activision have that sort of similar setup?
Well,
Like, if that was the case, I could totally understand why it's even an issue at all. But I don't think that's the case.
Well,
yeah.
I think at least in the UK, I think maybe they probably have at least one or two studios in the UK, but I doubt that they're large enough to where they couldn't just move them to some other European country if they wanted to. And like those workers are probably getting paid well enough where they could feasibly move and it'd be worth it for them.
But I think that what I'm trying to say is with that we're not going to sell Call of Duty in the UK,
And
and
I
that
don't
would
even
hurt.
know if that would I don't even know if that would be a thing that they'd have to worry about.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas because again I think that they're eventually just going to cave and uh,
Yeah.
join the
Well,
European Union and United States in approving it.
yeah. But you are right that they could just, if it really came down to it, they'd be like, okay, UK just doesn't get any Activision games,
Exactly.
whatever. Because like they're gonna make so much more money from the rest of the European Union.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they don't need they don't even need to care.
And it does say here, this is from Gizmodo. It says that the European Union has approved the 68.7 billion. God damn, that's a lot of money. $1 billion deal to go forward, as long as the companies pinky swear they'll throw a competitive bone to other publishers. Like,
And
couldn't
Pinky swear
you?
by
whole
that
Supreme Court.
Yeah.
by that they mean they do a 10-year agreement where they allow customers to stream Activision Blizzard games over cloud gaming services that aren't owned by Microsoft for 10 years.
I don't know why it's 10 years, because they did the same thing in the United States where they started doing, oh, it's 10 years. Why don't they make that just a perpetual thing? Just say you have to
Because
do it forever.
it's supposed to give, well, because Microsoft slash Activision, like those are the ones that are coming up with this bargain, and
Yeah.
10 years sounds like a really long time. And in most of these big, like, we're trying to convince you of this sort of deals, it's really a matter of we need to give time for the competition to adapt to the situation. So they need to give time for Sony to make their own Call of Duty, or Electronic Arts to make
Medal of Honor.
better Medal of Honor, I guess. Yeah, like I don't know, whatever they want to do. I
Yeah.
ultimately I don't even think that the reasoning behind approving it makes any fucking sense at all. Uh, but at the same time, like I guess I don't really know. The more that I think about it from a competition standpoint, like I don't know why this really matters all that much for that. This is really more about like the games industry as a whole just looks to suffer as a result of this because of further conglomeration of control over the industry. Like it's
I
just you're gonna have less, I guess, openings for creativity and for making the industry better. At the same time, though, this is Activision. They weren't doing anything good for the industry anyway, so I guess like why do I care?
Yeah, I mean they're not. What they make Diablo and World of Warcraft, right?
Yeah, like I said, they're not doing anything good for the
Yeah,
industry. So
exactly. We're gonna move on. We're gonna talk because we're gonna again. We have a lot of stories to burn through here, but we'll update as we get more news on this Activision Microsoft merger. So, Dead by Daylight is getting a spinoff by Supermassive and Midwinter Games.
huh.
The guys who make Supermassive is the guys who make like Until Dawn
Yeah.
and Man of Medan. So they're making a, I assume, horror game based off Dead by Daylight that is in the style of Man of Medan or whatever. So kind of a like a Telltale game. I don't know how that's gonna work. I'm sure it will be fine. It's just gonna be a horror game.
Yeah, it's weird because like I absolutely think that the main draw for Dead by Daylight for most casual players is that, oh boy, I can play as Michael Myers in this video game. I could play as Pinhead in video game. We licensed characters. Look at me, I'm fucking Chris Redfield running away from some other licensed killer. I can't think of another one at
Is
the
Freddy
moment.
in the
But
game? Freddy is in the game, right?
yeah, Freddy Krueger. Oh no, Freddy Krueger's gonna get you, Ada Wong. Look out.
But
Uh,
but Freddy Krueger invades your dreams, and in that it's not a dream
oh no, he
thing.
does. He makes you fall asleep.
Oh, okay,
They
good.
they do account for that.
Oh, good.
The pig lady from Saw is gonna be chasing around fucking Nicolas Cage in a few weeks.
That's
Literally just Nicolas Cage. He's not playing a character. It's just Nicolas Cage is going to be added as a survivor to the game, and it's just Nicolas Cage running around
well. I can't wait
as
until
himself.
Brendan Fraser and who else is pop? Keanu Reeves.
I
That
could really see Keanu Reeves doing the same thing. Yeah,
I could see them doing
I
that.
I was
Yeah.
I was hoping that it was going to be a tie-in with that Five Nights at Freddy's ripoff movie that he did.
There's a Five
Like,
Nights at Freddy's ripoff movie.
yeah, it's I don't remember the name of the movie, but it's just Nicolas Cage beating the shit out of animatronics for like an hour and a half.
Oh, fun. There's also we'll talk about the movie later, but there's also that Winnie the Pooh movie. They should
Oh
bring
yeah,
Winnie the Pooh as a killer.
they're putting fucking Naughty Bear
Who?
as a skin for the trap. You never played Naughty Bear?
Oh, I think I've heard of it, but I've never played it.
It's so I guess Behavior made Naughty Bear, which is like it's basically like Hitman, but you're a teddy bear
Oh,
in a teddy bear world, and it's just a stealth game where you go around and fucking kill teddy bears because they didn't invite you to some guy's birthday party.
and that's just going to be a skin for one of the other characters.
Yeah, for the Trapper, which it works really well for being the Trapper, so I'm okay with that. Even
So,
though nobody plays Trapper.
So, as you notice by the fact that we just started talking about the game, I don't think we really give a shit that Supermassive is
What?
making a Dead by Daylight game.
That's the thing. What I started on and then immediately got sidetracked. Though is that like there is lore in the game. There is a lot of lore in the game. The problem is that it's pretty much all text, and there are like some cutscene type things that you get as rewards for like doing a bunch of arbitrary challenges as particular characters. But very few people, I assume at least, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like very few people actually give a shit about any of that. So it's weird to me that they're going to make this like presumably character-driven game that is going to be focusing on their original characters that are ostensibly the least popular ones. I don't know. I don't get it. But
Interesting.
maybe it'll be good. I do have a lot of I think Supermassive can make a pretty good narrative experience out of just about anything. So I'll probably play it, or at least watch somebody play it.
I'll
But
probably play it, especially if it's included with Game Pass, but it won't be, so I'll probably have to buy it.
depends
Hopefully
on
it's not.
who's publishing it.
That's true. Well, it's being made by Supermassive and Midwinter. I wonder if one's the publisher and like if Midwinter is the publisher and Supermassive is the creative force. But
I
I'm
don't know.
not sure.
Oh no, Midwinter is working on a separate game.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So am I don't know. Apparently there was another spin-off game and I totally forgot about this called Hooked on You, which is
Yeah, that was a visual novel that was done as like an April Fool's thing.
yeah. And did you play that? I know you like visual
No,
novels.
my sister-in-law played it, and it was like just bleh.
Right. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about the next one. Google will soon purge inactive accounts. This is again from Gizmodo. So I think Twitter also said that they're going to purge inactive accounts as well. And they
Yeah.
did that. They did that previously.
Yeah, this came out shortly after Twitter announced it, which was probably just a weird coincidence, but it certainly feels like Google was going, "Oh, if they can get away with it, fuck it, why can't we?"
Yeah, it says the tech giant says it will soon start deleting accounts that have gone 2 years or longer without a login or other demonstration of engagement. Stored content on Gmail, Workspace, YouTube, and Photos. What about Google Plus? Will all be on the chopping block, along with the associated Google accounts themselves, under the new policy outlined in the company blog posted Tuesday. I know there's some outrage with Twitter and with Google deleting these older accounts that haven't been active for a while, but I mean, if you haven't logged into your Google account for 2 years,
I'm
maybe,
Yeah.
guessing a
yeah,
majority of these people just use them as like guerrilla mail to make an account with something else. And that's not going to change. Like, just because they can't send you emails anymore doesn't mean you're not going to be able to log into whatever you needed that burner for.
right. And also, like, if you are using that, like, to create accounts and stuff, there, you would still be able to, like, you should still log in every once in a while. And what I mean by that, if you create another account with that Gmail or whatever, you're going to log in to get that code or whatever. So I think this is, I think maybe they should have gone a little bit further back, maybe 3 or 5 years instead of just 2 years. But it doesn't really
Well,
affect me, and it doesn't
if you
affect
haven't if you used a Google account as a burner like one time, you probably don't care what happens to it.
exactly. And they have burner accounts you can get now, just
They do.
like 15-minute email or whatever.
The main reason that I think that this is concerning was that they didn't specify, because they said that YouTube accounts were included, but they didn't specify whether or not they were going to be deleting accounts that had videos on them and the person just hadn't logged in. Um, Google has since made a statement saying that they are not going to delete accounts that have YouTube videos on them. But how do we know that we can trust that?
I
How do we
don't
know that they won't specify that, like, we won't delete accounts that have videos on them that actually have gotten a view in the last 2 years?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, um, if you're not uploading regularly or whatnot, I could see that
There are
where
there are two channels in particular that I know of that should not be deleted for any reason, even though they don't get anything uploaded. Uh,
Reetin Entertainment and Aroa Entertainment.
no, one of them is it's like Kitty Zero something something. He was a Gary's Mod Machinima guy. He died. He's dead. Died of
Right.
cancer.
Yeah.
Um, his shit is amazing, and there's no reason to not leave that up as an archive forever. Same with villainwins.mid. Uh, some fucking weirdo that made some of the most cracked out Windows 3D Movie Maker videos I've ever seen hasn't uploaded in 11 years. That shit still needs to stay up though. Like, and for more practicality, like there are probably a lot of YouTube channels that have uploaded like tutorials on how to use archaic software or how to do some thing with like, I don't know, construction or something. People have uploaded things that are important to other people, and you can't just go and fucking delete them because they're costing you money whenever you're a platform like YouTube. And like, I know, yes, they can, but that's shitty and
It
it's
is.
stupid. And like, yeah, the Internet Archive exists, but I don't think it's fair to rely on manually setting these things to be archived by the Internet Archive whenever Google has plenty of fucking storage space for all of these dumb videos.
And let's be fair, storage space just keeps getting cheaper.
I mean,
Like,
if you're a company like Google, you have the storage space.
exactly.
Yeah. Like I'm honestly kind of surprised that I would be kind of surprised if one of these cloud providers didn't just like own a fucking hard drive factory at this point.
Or have at least a little bit of stake in one.
Yeah.
Like own a percentage of it. But yes, hopefully they will say, hey, as long as they have, if they have videos on that, we're not going to delete their channel or videos, which would be fair.
That is what they said, but like they were just vague enough where I feel like they could turn that around anytime they wanted.
Yeah, and say, hey, we at this point we're gonna anybody they have to have a certain amount of subscribers or views or something like that on the videos.
Right.
It can't just be they have one video on their page.
Yeah.
Sorry, you weren't successful enough. Your memories are gone forever.
Exactly.
And like that's also like a thing of there are a lot of bot channels on YouTube. Channels that are used to like test functionality or that just pump out garbage for no apparent reason. There are channels that exist solely to waste Google's resources by uploading videos of procedurally generated static, which is really hard to compress. So they're as large as they can possibly be and take a lot to actually stream the video. I get that Google wants to try to kill those accounts, but the funny thing about that is that this wouldn't have anything to do with those because they regularly upload.
They regularly upload and they have viewers. They probably have more subscribers than we do.
Probably have more subscribers than I do, that's for fucking sure.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's the main thing that I want to take away from this though is that if you have the resources, as I do, to back up all of the things on the internet that you like, you have to do it yourself.
That would be great.
That's why I have like a terabyte of YouTube videos that I've archived now.
Good. I don't have that many resources, and I have my hard drive space dedicated somewhere else. I actually do have that much. I have lots of space. I have like 20-something terabytes that I can that are free.
You got all those Laserdisc archive recordings. You gotta keep them safe.
I need to do those. Before we move on to the next story, I got a remote for my Laserdisc player. So very excited
now you can
about
watch
that.
the same Laserdisc over and over and over again without getting off your couch.
You don't have to rewind it anymore.
Yeah. Well, no, the funny point, I'm still gonna have to get up and change the disc over. And thankfully my Laserdisc player has dual side support, so it'll automatically flip. Because if you're watching a CAV version, the remote's not going to do anything. You're still going to have to get up every 30 minutes and flip the disc. Anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about Overwatch. Overwatch 2 is cutting their story mode, which is bullshit.
Wasn't that like one of the big reasons they needed to make Overwatch 2? It's like, we're overhauling the engine to better support this.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And now they're getting rid of the story mode, which was I don't think they were going to be long, right? Like it was going to be
It was
just
supposed to be like a fully fleshed out like single player campaign thing with like you were gonna be able to get XP for your favorite Overwatchers and like upgrade Tracer's ass or whatever.
yes. But I thought each individual story was going to be fairly short. Just a couple hours, and then they would or was it not going to be specific heroes that you would play through their specific stories?
No, I don't think so. I think it was supposed to be like a campaign, and you just like pick a character, and you can go through the campaign and like switch characters whenever you wanted for different reasons.
This is from Kotaku.
At least I thought so. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I don't know. It says on May 16th, Blizzard outlined its future plans for Overwatch 2, offering new information on the long-awaited story content revealed back when the sequel was announced in 2019. Fuck them. that's the update. Fuck you guys. It says Overwatch 2 is in the midst of its fourth season. It's been out for like 8 months. Which added Lifeweaver, a new support hero that has already seen several tweaks since launching. It says the team will introduce a new limited time event called Mischief and Magic, which, similar to a recent Star Watch event, seems like themed reskin of the game's offering a fantasy vibe instead of Star Watch's sci-fi lean. Where
Oh
is...
shit, you're right. Wow. I totally thought Overwatch 2 came out in like 2021.
No, it's only been like 8 months.
It came out in October of last year.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Yeah, 8 months.
How? What the fuck?
Just give up on your projects. Everything will be okay.
So yes, they are getting rid of the story the story mode that they were going to put into the game, which kind of sucks. I don't like when they cut content, especially when it was gonna actually be something that hopefully was fun. But
And it's so weird because like they were gonna make you pay for it, and that was gonna cover the development cost of it.
oh, they
And now
found
I
out
guess they
there are idiots who buy battle passes.
yeah. But it's like, okay, just fucking double dip. Like you don't want money? I guess they don't. Like
guess
I
not.
don't know. But I also I said in conversation with my other friends that like this seems, if anything, like this branch of Blizzard, the Overwatch branch of Blizzard, either determining that no one wants single player Overwatch, or very few people do, and so they're just cutting the resources to this project, or they ran out of ideas. They couldn't figure out how to make a compelling single player campaign using a game setup that is ostensibly multiplayer first and foremost.
Yeah.
Or they just got greedy and decided, let's just put all of our resources into the part of the game that actually will make us money
Now
consistently.
they did say that they're in season 6. They are still going to have story missions. So I think you were right. Like they had a big overarching story that was going to be included, and that got gutted. And now what they're doing is they're going to have individual story missions.
They are adding the firing range back to the game in season 6.
They already have it, I thought.
That's what it says, at least. So maybe they're upgrading it. Maybe that's what that means.
Yeah, because I know. Well, I mean, there's like a practice mode or whatnot in the game. So
Is there like I know the original Overwatch had like a firing range stage where it would teach you the basics of how to play each individual character.
yeah, they
but-
still have a practice mode. So I'm not sure if they're they must be upgrading it or something.
oh, I don't know.
Anyway,
It's weird to me that like unless the game is just absolutely struggling, which maybe it is. I know a lot of people are very much down on Overwatch 2, and I totally get why they are. I think the way that they've done their players is pretty dirty. But I also like I just think it's weird that unless it is just failing miserably, that like this part of Blizzard is making such a stupid decision, or at least an anti-player decision whenever Blizzard that's doing World of Warcraft is currently in the middle of like the best expansion slash season of the game
Since Wrath?
in a very long time. No, not since Wrath,
Oh,
but
okay.
since probably since BFA, probably since Legion, honestly.
I have no idea.
Which I barely played Legion, but I know from what I've played of Legion, as well as from what the overall sentiment is, Legion was like the pinnacle of the game in general. And I don't know, so far everything's been amazing, and it's just weird that like the best that Overwatch 2 has been able to put out that's like been interesting at all was that they had a crossover with One Punch Man.
They did.
Like,
They did. Yes, they did. But we're gonna move on and talk about our next story. And our next story is about 3 companies that we all hate: Google, Facebook, and Amazon. And it appears somebody else brought up this story, but it looks like Google, Facebook, and Amazon have started laying off a bunch of people. We know about that. They've announced like, oh, we're laying off like 10,000 people. Oh, we're laying off 5,000 people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it seems that they are now supplementing those losses by hiring cheap foreign workers. They're outsourcing all of their jobs because they don't want to pay Americans a decent wage.
well, they're paying for or sponsoring foreign workers to work via H-1B visas, which
Right.
basically means they're taking a bunch of Indian guys and going to pay them a lot less than Americans, because Indians are the not to be politically incorrect, they're the Mexicans of the IT world.
Well, no, let's. I will counter that just a little bit,
Mm.
because when I worked at Facebook, a couple of the people I worked with were from Mexico on those visas. Super nice guys.
Actually, a lot of major companies I've worked at, like global companies, have had people from Mexico on H-1 visas.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
wow.
and one of the guys, I'm gonna give his first name. His name was Lancelot, and I was like, that is fucking awesome.
He picked that name.
He must have picked that name. But yeah, he was. They were great guys. But yeah, I've seen it in the tech field where they will sponsor them for those visas because it is cheaper, right? They'll bring them up here for 6 months to a year on a contract. They don't have to pay them benefits. They don't have to do certain things. They can pay them, cheaper because.
And they can
Honestly,
treat them like shit because they're dangling their livelihood over their head at every hour of the day.
exactly. And they could also say, hey, how much money are you going to make down in Mexico when you could come up here and make twice that or 3 times that, but still be making less than what we would pay an engineer or something that, is from the United States. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit is what it is. And I don't like it. And I don't like that they, would lay off 10,000 people and then just outsource those jobs or bring them over, because that's the way to save money. Do you have anything else to say about this before we move on?
It's just not what you should be doing if you're having like record profits at the year.
Yeah, it's I hate. That's another thing I hate is they'll come out and say we are making record profits, and then lay people off, and say, well, we're not making as many profits as we want. That's part of the reason why I stopped watching WWE. They were announcing record profits and then firing 24 wrestlers to save on the budget, and that's just not cool. At the beginning of the pandemic, so it's not even hey, we need to, spice up the roster or something. We're going to lay you off at the beginning of the pandemic when you have nowhere else to go, which is just bullshit. And they did that. They do that with Google and Facebook and Amazon. Is the tech industry is really low right now, and they're laying a lot of people off. And so you have all these engineers and IT support and stuff that are going to not be able to find a job. And if they do find a job, because the market's so tough, they're probably going to have to take a pay cut, which is just bullshit. Like they're going to be working for less than what they're worth because the market is so tight right now. It's just bullshit. Anywho,
It's bullshit.
It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit, and we're moving on to apparently, I think this was Nick Lotus brought up this story.
Yeah.
The Tears of the Kingdom infinite item glitch. Actually, the only one who's played it is Aroa. Have you done this?
No,
Infinite item glitch.
I don't really. Unlike whenever I was a child, wherein I got a game console and then was like, "Get me the Game Shark for it." I don't like to completely ruin my experience of a game the first time through it anymore. I don't know why you would do this to yourself.
I don't like cheating in games anyway, or exploiting games anyway. I know Connor there for a while really enjoyed modding games and stuff.
I do enjoy, like, there is a part of me that just to my core loves glitches, exploits, slapping a memory editor on something like that. Not because I want to ruin the experience, but just because, haha, look what I made look what I made the computer do, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do think
game
this
like
is interesting.
for a game like Zelda, I could see why someone would do this. Is like, what's the difference between having, I don't know, I'm not exactly sure the items you can clone, but what's the difference between having like one beetle and 1,000 beetles? Is it 200 hours of content running around looking for it, or is it 20 minutes of doing an exploit? I get that.
Yeah. And I think for this is you can duplicate the items and then sell them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get lots and lots of money to do stuff in the game.
So I don't know about
Which is-
Tears of the Kingdom, but I knew though at least in Breath of the Wild Master Mode, I was filthy rich in that game. Is money a hard thing to get?
It is a
Okay.
lot harder to make money, at least according to my wife. I don't know. I didn't play enough of the first game to really know how the economy was, but she actually brought up yesterday that like it really seems like Tears of the Kingdom makes it a lot harder to make money. She felt like she was just rolling in dough in the first game, and in this one, she's struggling to make enough cash to buy much of anything.
This glitch reminds me of the W item glitch in Final Fantasy VII.
Classic.
And
it seems very similar to how item duplication works in Elder Scrolls games.
yeah, we would do that in Payday.
Pick up the card or whatever objective you're trying to get. If you synchronize it at the same time, the engine can't despawn it fast enough.
Yeah, so you both pick up the card. It's pretty great. It probably has to do with like tick rates or something. Anyway,
it's a race condition.
Yeah,
Yes.
These are fairly common. And the newest patch does not fix this either.
nice.
It is also very easy. I have seen like this is the sort of thing where it would be cool for whenever you are experimenting with certain things. Particularly like their items that, because I don't want to spoil it, but there are certain items that are rather difficult to get, but allow for the wacky stuff that you've seen probably in social media posts of like the flamethrower stuff and all that. I could see using this exploit to clone those items for the purpose of doing something really wacky and silly for a video or just to see what happens. But I don't understand what you really get out of it if you duplicate a whole bunch of diamonds and then sell them, and then you get all the big high level equipment that you can buy.
The only thing I would want to duplicate, which I'm probably not going to do this glitch when I play through the game, is I don't like the durability in Breath of the Wild, and so
It is so
duplicating.
not a problem.
Oh, good.
There's a power that you get in the very beginning of the game that essentially makes durability like not even a thought anymore, and it's
Well,
fantastic.
Perfect.
Is it that time rewind thing? I was wondering if that worked with that.
It is not that.
Okay.
So this is, I'll just go through it real quick. It's just a few steps. Pull out your bow, press up on the D-pad and attach the item you want to duplicate to it. Press start to open your inventory. Drop the bow that you have equipped. Equip a new bow. Press start 2 times very quickly to close and reopen the menu. Drop the bow you have equipped, and then close out of your inventory screen, and then you have 2 bows. So you have 2 of the item that you... So it's basically you go into the menu, you drop the item, you go back into the menu, you drop the item, and then it duplicates it somehow. And you said that's similar to how it works in Elden Ring?
Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls games. It's something similar. I don't really know how to do it myself, but I know that it involves like you drop something in your inventory, but then you immediately reopen your inventory and drop something else. And then whenever you do, you get like 3 of the first item or something stupid like that. I don't remember, but
Interesting.
I think MMOs typically have this sort of thing too with item duplication, and they do get patched out, unlike this one. So, but
we'll see if it gets patched out in Tears of the Kingdom. We are going to look at a movie now, though, based on a video game called Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, I'm way too excited about this.
I mean,
way too excited.
Connor and I were talking about this a little bit before you were able to hop into the call. And I told him that it's going to be bad, but is it going to be enjoyable and bad?
I don't think it's even going to be bad. I really don't.
I don't think it's going to be great. Like, I don't think it's going to be like the Mad Max of the E-rated movie, you know?
Yeah, let me I guess change.
Wait, is it E-rated?
Or
it's probably going to be. It's made for teeny boppers.
It can't
be PG. It'll be PG.
PG-13 makes more sense.
Yeah,
it will be.
I was like, it's not going to be G. It's definitely not going to be G.
You know that movie where the animatronics like what did they do? Eat the face off of a child?
Yeah.
G rating right there.
It will be PG-13, almost definitely. But no, Scott Cawthon, as much as I disagree with his politics, he is very passionate about what he puts out as products. And he has been very, very deeply involved with the making of this film for the past 6 years, including making the whole thing like start over from the beginning in terms of writing and all that. He's very involved with keeping the lore at least somewhat stable. Like he very much remains a part of the franchise and does everything he can to make it as good as it can be. I very much respect him for that. I just wish that he wasn't a pro-lifer. But outside of that, the teaser trailer looks fucking great. Like the animatronics look good. If they didn't build an actual animatronic Freddy, then they animated an animatronic Freddy that looks real.
I'm
excited.
I'm watching this trailer, and it definitely does look like they have an actual animatronic Freddy. I imagine, if you ever watch that little movie, I don't know if you guys have heard Star Wars.
Nope, never heard of it.
You know, they have like 9 different R2D2s for like different shots and stuff. I imagine with the same thing with like old movies like Back to the Future, they had like 5 or 6 DeLoreans that they would use. And so most likely they have a couple animatronic Freddys that they have to use for specific shots.
But like the thumbnail for the trailer, that looks like all the animatronics there are CG, and there were a couple of shots I remember from the trailer that looked like they were probably CG, but even having some of them be practical, like that is so far above and beyond what I expect out of a licensed movie nowadays. Like this doesn't have the same feeling to it that like the Slender Man movie had.
Yeah.
Whenever I watched the trailer for that and I was like, wow, that just looks like shit. It looks like they didn't pay any attention to what the established lore was or anything. Meanwhile, I'm rewatching the teaser right now, and I love how close so much shit in the pizzeria is in terms of design and like even just placement of things in the room, like how accurate it is to various games, because there's stuff from Pizzeria Simulator that you see in here, like the ball pit is uncannily similar. um there's a shot I called out immediately whenever it shows the security cameras. Whenever it's zooming in on the one screen that has all of them standing on the stage with the curtains closed, that is literally the first camera that you see whenever you open the cameras in the first Five Nights at Freddy's. It's the exact same angle, but I don't think it's like pulled from the game. I think they just recreated it perfectly. And I love that. Like I'm I hate that this franchise has such a following of little children and like Zoomers and shit, and that I have to be associated with them in terms of how much I really like this franchise. But like the actor that they have playing, who I'm assuming is William Afton, looks fucking great. Uh, I love that they're actually seemingly endangering children instead of it just being guy in a security room. Like, and it just
Yeah.
because like they could have just had this be like a 90-minute movie where it's just a dude and some CG robots doing spooky shit, but they're not. They're doing what looks to be a lot of really cool shit with nods to the lore and like what people in the fandom actually enjoy about the series. So
So you're excited for the movie.
I
That's what I'm
I
getting from
am
here.
I am like the only reason that I probably won't see it in theaters is because I don't want to be around a bunch of children.
Just go during school day. Go while they're at school.
It is coming out in October, isn't it?
Yeah.
I could feasibly do that, couldn't I?
Yes, you could. Yeah. You're gonna be there, and there's still gonna be a bunch of children.
Or I'll be the only one in there, and I'm just going to be this fat, greasy guy going to see the kids' horror movie.
It's okay. Durga and I went and watched the Mr. Rogers movie, not the one with Tom Hanks. Before that, they had a documentary on Mr. Rogers, and
Oh,
there was one other lesbian couple in the movie with us.
I mean, I say I say I'm gonna be the greasy weird guy. I went to fucking Sonic 2 and I was the obnoxious guy.
You're like, oh my god!
I was like squealing and clapping and shit in the part where he goes supersonic. So like, whatever. I'm a man child.
Your kids are like, will that guy just calm down?
Yeah. So, we're gonna move on. We got two more stories to talk about. The first one is basically Ubisoft has been doing pretty poorly. They still release games, and I think they're still making some money. I'm not sure how their financials look, but they're not doing great. And
propped up by Siege.
Probably. And what they're doing now is they're like, you know what we need to do? Make more Assassin's Creed.
It's weird. They have my photo here, and it says, this guy, he's going to keep us afloat. And they're right.
This is from IGN. It says, in its full year earnings report, Ubisoft reported that in fiscal year in which its only major releases were Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Just Dance 2023, and Rocksmith Plus, its net sales were 1.81 billion euros. or 1.97 billion
Dollars.
Yes.
Dollar dues.
I don't know
the
why my
currency
brain.
that you use in a daily.
Greenbacks.
No, I don't. $1.97 billion is down 14.6% from last year, and its overall reported an operating loss of 500 million euros or $543 million. So they lost $500 million.
Where'd it go? It's all gone.
Yeah, that apparently it was. They thought that the Rabbids game was gonna do more. They thought Rabbids and Just Dance were going to make up that $500 million. Apparently, who the fuck does their books?
Reetin. People don't want an Assassin's Creed game every year. They're burnt out on it. Except that the franchise literally prints money. So we're probably just going to go back to making a new one every year.
Yep, they have reported that not only does Assassin's Creed Valhalla now have 44% more players life to date than Origins and 19% more than Odyssey, it's bringing in more money per player than either game, apparently. Valhalla is.
People are fucking weird.
Yeah, it is. So they're going to go with another Assassin's Creed game. It does say that the Assassin's Creed franchise in the coming years, they will make more. Assassin's Creed Mirage is set for release in 2023, and 3 other major games are on the horizon, alongside an additional VR game and a mobile game in the franchise. Are you going to play
Assassin's Creed Motion Sickness VR.
Are you going to play the VR game?
It depends. If it's $70, they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
It'll
I
probably
agree
be
with
like
that.
a $30 experience that I would rate it like a $10 value. If I know anything about VR games in general. There's been like 3 that
Especially
I like.
AAA VR games.
Especially AAA VR games.
Yeah, they do
If it
say
ain't
that.
Pavlov, if it ain't that Warhammer one that's like has no business being as good as it is, like VR is dope as fuck, but it's got some stinkers.
It does. Like that Star Trek game was good for what it was. Bridge Crew.
I just wish it was more.
Yeah,
I
I
wish
just-
they would have expanded on that, like ever.
Yeah, I wish that it
That was made by Ubisoft, wasn't it?
It was.
That makes everything make sense.
Yes. I wish that it was more substantial. Like you had in the game you had missions that were like 20 minutes long, but I wish there was like an overarching story, even if it was like a short story that was like, 5 hours or something. I think that
They
would have
should
been
make
fun.
the second one. They should make it so you could walk around the bridge and like you don't just have to, because like VR's a little more advanced now. We could have joysticks and stuff in there. Have it so you like have to walk to your station or walk to other stations when shit's blowing up. Make it a little like it was cool using the computer, but it was just a set piece and it could have been so much more than that.
Yeah. But it does say that there are other things coming on the horizon for the next fiscal year. It's got, Assassin's Creed Mirage. It's also got Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, Tom Clancy's The Division's Resurgence, Rainbow Six Mobile. Oh, good. That's what I want to play. The Crew Motorfest, Skull and Bones, which has been delayed 6 times, X Defiant, which I played and was... It's all right. It's all right.
I already forgot that existed.
Yeah. And it has another large game that has not been named yet. They expect this, which is another Assassin's Creed game. No, Ubisoft expects to say, oh, wait, wonder if it's Splinter Cell.
I would be so happy.
You know what I find interesting is that there's no mention of Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Oh, yeah.
They're beyond it already.
Yeah. It says they expect to say more about these games in the coming Ubisoft Forward event next month, June 12th. Which we've got a lot of stuff to cover there because I think June's going to be.
June is going to be so much.
Yep. And our last
WWDC, all that.
Sony's got their thing they're doing.
Yeah.
Ubisoft's got their thing they're doing. I'm sure Bethesda will have something, and they'll be like, "Hey, just so you know, we delayed Starfield again." And
now they're gonna be like, "Don't worry, guys, we've got something for you. It's Skyrim VR on PSVR 2."
Yeah.
That I could see. I could see them being like, "Here it is. It's the thing you asked for. Blades 2 on mobile."
Everybody wants that. However, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about our last story, final story of the day. Montana has banned TikTok. Like, you
Don't you
can't.
love living in the country of the free,
Yeah, you
the land of the
cannot.
brave?
You cannot download TikTok on either Apple devices or Android devices anymore. It is banned.
Well, that's not true, but
Well, that's what they're trying to do.
yeah,
We are
as
one
of
step closer
January
to that.
1st, 2024, it will be illegal for app stores to allow it to be downloaded.
And I think that this is going to get it's got to get overturned, right? Like,
They're already being sued. Like
Oh,
the state of Montana is already being sued by a number of people that are trying to go for a class action lawsuit because this is directly harming their income, and it's stifling free speech. There are a number of reasons to be against this, um, including and not limited to this sets a very scary precedent.
it does.
I think I mentioned whenever this first started coming about that, like, yeah, as much as I don't like TikTok, and at least I don't like ByteDance, and the idea of it being a company that has
Is Byte what?
man,
Let me back up here.
ByteDance is a company that owns TikTok.
Thank
they
you.
they are an AI company that own, I think, a few social media platforms, but TikTok is the only one that they operate in the United States, to my knowledge. And ByteDance coincidentally seems to have a habit of hiring people who end up being agents for the Chinese government that stalk journalists and other people who happen to have access to privileged information, which is kind of weird. Not saying necessarily that ByteDance is just operating that way intentionally or anything, but yeah, it's kind of shifty sometimes. In spite of all that, I still think that it should be down to individuals on whether or not they want to participate in this sort of thing.
I can understand, like, okay, I have a work phone, right?
Mhm.
I can understand my work saying
you shouldn't be allowed. Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing with the government. The government has, like, on federally owned devices said, "Hey, you can't have TikTok." Which, again, I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
I could even see it, particularly in the case of being a government agent. You cannot have a TikTok account, period. You
Yeah.
cannot interact with TikTok because you are part of the US government. You may have access to sensitive information, and we cannot risk this. Like, I totally get that. But the idea of saying that a normal everyday citizen cannot make the decision on their own to go and download TikTok in spite of the knowledge that they have of the platform, that is, in my opinion, unconstitutional and immoral.
Yes.
Like,
I
that's
want
just
this to
fucked.
be the decision of my network administrator, not my senator.
Yeah, because
Right.
I know at least. So when I worked at Facebook, we had mobile device management, right? So we would offer like I'd be like, okay, so you're gonna get a company cell phone, and they would be like, well, can I have that on my personal phone? And I would be like, okay, let me run you through this. We will install the mobile device management. You have to agree to certain terms. And then also, I have the ability to press this button and wipe your phone whenever I deem necessary. And they're like, yeah, so I'll take that company phone.
Yeah.
Because
I've worked
it,
at companies that do the same thing.
yeah, and it would never happen, right? Like, we're not gonna, even when I was at Facebook, we weren't gonna go in there and wipe somebody's phone unless they lost it or something like that. We weren't gonna send that command. But there's always that chance that there's gonna be a glitch and it's just gonna wipe your phone or something, even if it's a 0.001% chance. You had to do it.
I had to do it once because and it wasn't even, it was just because they couldn't get their account set up anymore, And the only other option I had was to wipe out the application. But whenever you wiped out the application, you had to wipe the entire phone.
Yeah. And so you just have to tell them, like, you have to tell them that. And then they're like, okay, hey,
Like,
we're going to
you
grab
signed up
this.
for this, motherfucker. Like,
And,
it's-
and part of that MDM, mobile device management software, that you have to install on the phone if you're going to be with the corporation, that particular corporation at least, you can dictate, like, you can't download these specific apps.
Mhm.
And so that's why I'm always hesitant when I work for a company that they're like, hey, we'll let you have, you can work off your personal phone or you can get a corporate phone. And like my company offers, I think it's $50 a month. Like they'll pay $50 a month if
Yeah,
you
you get a
use a
stipend.
personal phone.
Mhm.
But I don't do it because we don't have MDM, but I still don't want those emails and stuff coming to my personal phone. And just leave that as a secondary phone feature. And
I don't care. I have like I have Teams and Outlook on my phone. I don't give a shit.
Sometimes I
see,
get reached out because like people are having medical emergencies. It makes sense for my condition to have an MDM managed device.
I have a corporate phone. I have a company phone and I have a personal phone. And I've been given the option to move over all of my stuff onto my personal phone. But I don't want that because when I'm not on the clock, I don't need to get those messages. And if something is big enough that they've got to get a hold of me, my boss has my personal phone number. Like my coworkers have my personal phone number in case something like that happens.
Yeah.
So and I just like separating. Like if I'm going to Japan or something, I don't want to get work calls while I'm in Japan because people will message me, and instead of putting in a ticket, people are like, "Hey, can you do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, if you put in a ticket."
You know, you could set your shit to do not disturb, right?
Yes, I could, but I probably would forget.
If
But-
only your phone had like a profile switcher.
Oh, yeah, I could not do that. I don't want to be switching profiles either. That's weird. Anyway,
Well, because because BlackBerry, which was
Oh,
like
yeah.
my second choice behind Microsoft's mobile OS, had that function where everything you could have a personal side and a work side, and just swap between them anytime, and it was really simple.
That's cool. Anyway,
Mhm.
that being said, I don't think that the government should be able to say, "Hey," unless
No.
unless it's a malicious app or something, which I don't. They're trying to make it as if TikTok's malicious just because it's from China. That's the
Like,
reason.
They do have a penchant for spying on people, but it's like in the same capacity that a Facebook employee could spy on a user of Facebook.
Look,
Yeah.
I have this AI super app on my phone. I asked about it, and my Bonzi buddy said that it was the only app I needed. I didn't need any other TikToks, so I'm going with it.
Okay,
Like
perfect.
extremely relevant comparison though is that Apple doesn't let you use ChatGPT anymore. There are a lot of corporations that are not allowing not allowing their employees to use ChatGPT on work machines. And it's because they want people to not put sensitive information into this application that could then leak it inadvertently. Because
How many times? How many times? Like at least once every couple of months, I'll read a story that's like, and again, some Reddit user leaked classified documentation so that they could win an argument about War Thunder.
Right.
Like
Like
you stop it.
Most of the time, people are doing this shit to themselves just by being dumb. And
And
frankly, I don't think that the government should make laws to just keep people from making dumb decisions.
my work blocks Chat GPT, and it kind of makes sense because same thing with Connor. We work in the medical field, and HIPAA. They would,
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I work for the power company.
that's true. You could cut off your own power.
Well, I could feed any sort of sensitive data in there that
Do
Hey,
you?
should
Chat
not be part of.
GPT, could you optimize my grid?
Like they put out the reasoning being that they don't want our code to be part of ChatGPT's data, whatever the fuck it's called, model, but also they don't want ChatGPT to spit out bad code that then people just blindly implement because that's a thing, and then they fuck everything up. And I think that's a fair thing.
I have a
I
question.
don't need Congress to tell me that.
My question is for you. Do you have any like benefits when it comes to like your power bill or anything, or is that just
No?
Okay? So you pay the same that everyone else does.
Yeah, that would probably be illegal because of regulations.
Probably, yeah. It's probably
There's
price controlled.
I won't go into it here, but there is so much regulation that goes into everything involving the power company, even with a privately owned one like ours. Like, it's pretty nuts.
Oh yeah. Anyway, that was our last story. Montana is banning TikTok. What is it? January 2024 is when it's going to start being banned.
Yep. January for
if it gets that far.
Yeah. If it doesn't get struck down in the meantime. Like I said, there are already people who are suing over this, and like it'll be really interesting if it does go into effect, how they plan on enforcing this, considering like all you would technically have to do is use a VPN to connect
exactly.
to the app store from another state and download it. Like, okay.
Or download an APK and just
fucking download the APK and then go from there. Like, this is what happens whenever you have dumb fucking congressmen making laws about shit they don't understand.
And it's $10,000 per violation.
Yeah.
So if you did that in Montana, and what happens if you leave like I'm from Oregon? What if I visit Montana? Why would I ever do that? But what if I visit Montana and I have TikTok on my phone? Would I then not?
Render your device
you can
at
have
the border.
it on your phone, but you can't update it.
That's
so dumb.
It's so dumb. It's gonna get. I think it's gonna get stricken down. But what I will say is thank you, Aroa, for being here.
Yeah, I talked a lot.
Yeah, well, that always happens, but that's fine. At least Parallax Abstraction wasn't here. Otherwise, we'd still be talking about like the third story. Thank you for being here, Connor.
Yeah, I talked not that much.
A moderate amount. And
I'm the Andy Richter of this show.
And you're welcome that I was here. We will be back next week talking about some more news stories. See you then. Goodbye.
Goodbye.